right, hello everyone, welcome. We have a very special episode and a very special guest today. We are here with Nicole Beauchamp, and we are here to discuss a new book that she just released. It's called Haunted French Quarter Hotels. She is an author and a paranormal investigator, and we're very excited to get started. But before we get into that, as per tradition, we are here with some ice cream drinks, and we would love to know what you are having today.
Well, I got a chocolate malt, which is
Oh, yum!
my favorite thing other than root beer float. So,
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, that's
Yum.
good. We love a root beer float. What are you drinking, Gina?
I have a coffee ice cream milkshake because I wanted coffee and I wanted ice cream. So I just put it in a blender.
Excellent. Mine, in kind of the same vein, I'm also drinking coffee, but I have a little bit of chocolate ice cream in there as a creamer instead of
Yum.
regular creamer. I really need coffee right now, so we're going hard with the coffee. But I have it in my little cauldron in the spirit of the season.
Nice.
that's very cute.
Thank you. I think it's like a Target impulse buy from several years ago. All right, so let's jump in. We're very excited to have you here, Nicole. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your background in the paranormal?
Yeah, so I've pretty much been involved with the paranormal my entire life. I've been investigating for, I always say like close to 20 years or about 20 years, just because I really don't know exactly how long it's been. It's just been like I said, so long. So in that time, I've investigated all over the world. I have penned 5 books. The 5th book will be out next year.
Oh, cool.
And that's going to be called Haunted Mid-Michigan. So I am one of the authors for the Haunted America series with Arcadia Publishing. And then I am also curator of a traveling haunted museum. So I do a lot of things in this industry.
I want to hear more about the Haunted Museum. I didn't know that.
I know, me either. I'm like, you said so many things that I was like, wait a minute, hold on. Okay, tell us more. Let's talk about the museum. What in the world? Tell us everything.
Right. So I went to school for massage therapy.
Ooh.
And I kind of got an interest, of course, in anatomy from going to school. So I began collecting human bones. Well, some of those bones began being really paranormally active. And so I decided that I was going to collect some other odds and ends, not ever thinking that I was going to have, of course, activity with them, but that I would go to like oddity shops or thrift stores or whatever, and people would say, hey, this item is really haunted. This is what we've had happen with it. Or someone threw this at me at an estate sale and they didn't want it and I don't want it. I get really bad vibes. And so I kind of became the person that got all of these oddities. And so I have quite an eclectic collection. I have artifacts from all over the world, and I travel to different libraries within my state and kind of show each item, talk about the backstory behind each item, and then, just kind of let the public engage with these items as well to see if they have an experience. It's a lot of fun.
Does that have... Okay, I do have to confess to something. I was creeping real hard on your Instagram earlier today. Does that have anything to do with the skull?
Yes, so the skull we have named Brandy. Brandy came from Germany. She had passed away when she was in her mid-60s, and we don't really know where she came from, because the person I primarily got bones from was someone who gets them from medical schools, and they're retired medical corpses. And I was using them early on, of course, for studying purposes, because I do work in such a medically heavy field. And we started to bring Brandy to events, kind of simply to show her off. And it became kind of a thing where people would have an experience with her or hold her and then have something really good happen in their life. So she's kind of like the complete opposite of like Robert the Doll. And so we've had many celebrities that have held her and interacted with her. And Steve from Ghost Hunters offered to buy her for like close to $3,000. And
Wow.
I really needed that money, but I said no because she's such an impressive piece, you know? And
Yeah.
I don't know. I always kind of encourage people at presentations, you know, I always say, like, you have to respect the dead. Before you leave today, you know, say something to her because she was once a person just like we are. And, you know, let's say something nice to her and maybe you'll get rewarded for doing so.
That's awesome. I think it's cool that you, even though you previously said you don't know a whole lot about her, I love that you know the age and you respect the fact that she deserves a name. That's always awesome. I get a little nervous when people start talking about bones and things like that because I'm like, oh no, oh no, oh no, and then it's like, okay, no, you get it. I like when people respect that. That's good.
Yeah, respect is something that I carry into everything that I do. I know, like, early on, a lot of people did have concerns about it being exploitative, but then I think once they got to know me and see some of my presentations and read my books, they realized that, like, respect is something I care a lot about. And my initial thought, like I said, for bringing Brandy to events was primarily to show people and show kids, like, this is what your body looks like. Because like I said, you know, I'm just so interested in anatomy and it's fascinating. And I don't feel like people often get the chance to see that kind of thing. You know, we're all walking around with a skull in our head, but it's not something that we can actually see and examine and really get a close look at. So that was kind of like the motivation. But then so many people started writing me, having all these things, good things happen, and celebrities started taking photos with her, and she was posted all over Instagram and kind of became a little bit of a semi-famous haunted artifact. So, you know, I never saw that really coming, but, you know, sometimes I guess things just align when they're meant to.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that actually, I mean, this is kind of a good segue into the book. One of the things that we noticed was you do such a good job in the book going really deep into the background and the history of each hotel, so that like the respect that you have for everything you do and the places you go and the things you have and stuff is very apparent in your writing. The French Quarter is obviously one of the oldest neighborhoods in New Orleans. When you're writing about an area such as this, one that has so much rich history to it, how do you decide where to start in your writing?
That's a really good question. So I always try to locate records as far back as I possibly can. If I don't know what came before that time period, I usually will just say, like, I could only find records from this time. Unfortunately, I don't know, like, what it was beforehand. But with this specific book, it was really challenging because the records are not easy to find. I mean, you have to do, like, a lot of digging. I mean, I worked with so many historical societies and, like, archive collectors and, you know, all this stuff. But I think the most challenging part with this project was talking about some of the topics that are very heavily involved in a place like New Orleans, like slavery and, you know, other injustices and murders of people whose family members are still alive. I mean, you know, it's like, you don't want to sensationalize these things, but you also have to make them digestible for the average reader to, you know, to not get bored. You don't want to write it like a textbook. So in those instances, like, especially when I was talking about, like, Zach and Addie's relationship and what happened with them, I referred to interviews from the detective who was on the case and people who were involved and literally quoted them verbatim, simply to avoid any sort of sensationalism. But it's definitely a challenge. It can definitely be very difficult to do.
Well, and that's something we find even just in our humble little podcast. We try to keep things factual as much as we can, but sometimes, especially since we work in video, the opinions just bubble over. I mean, you could read my face if in a pitch black room. It's just so hard sometimes. This brings up another interesting question, which I'll be fascinated to hear your response to, is why hotels specifically?
Well, I wanted to do something kind of new when I was writing about New Orleans. And the thing is like, the city's been around for 307 years. And I thought, when I first went there, I had a lot of experiences at the first hotel I stayed at. But these places just have not been covered in detail before. You might, pick up a couple books and they'll maybe mention some of these hotels, often with many of the myths that, I kind of tried to clear up in my book. But there's just not a lot of history on these places, and not only not a lot of history, but accurate history. So I said, this is a little bit of a different angle. I mean, when people are going to New Orleans, they're going specifically because it's haunted, and more often than not, they want to stay at a haunted location. And so I thought this might serve both as a travel guide and a paranormal digest.
Well, that's absolutely what we're going to be using it for.
Yeah.
Catherine and I. Go for it. Sorry.
Go ahead. We're about to say the same thing. Go ahead.
We, very early on in our friendship, Catherine and I did a long weekend in New Orleans, and we expected to see the entire city, but we never wound up leaving the French Quarter because it was just so amazing. So next time we go, I think we need to use this as reference for where we stay, 100%.
Yeah. Well, and also, I think subconsciously, I always wonder if that trip was the spark we didn't know was sparking for our own podcast, because I love what you said, Nicole, about just, people go for the spooky things, but there's so much history, and I feel like even when people know that and understand that, it goes so deep, because a lot of the quote-unquote history we know is just actually legend and lore and, rumors and ghost stories, and it's cool. It was a cool experience reading this book, because I honestly feel like it fits into what this podcast is as a whole, because we're not just a spooky podcast. We're very heavily like a history, haunted history, spooky history, but it's really rooted in history. We have a lot of episodes that really aren't that spooky at all. It's just about the history of the haunted places that are known as being haunted. But, people forget that there's so much to these places. There was a time that they were just a place, where, things were just happening. So I think that's really cool. I think that that's one of the reasons we are so fascinated with New Orleans, because any city has its own history, but there's just something about New Orleans history that is I don't know, it's layered in ways that other cities are not, I think.
You got that right, because, well, what the weirdest thing of all is, when you go back on the history of some of these hotels, most of these hotels, they're not just, one building. They're made up of, all these parcels of land. Yeah. And so, with this book, I had to literally research each and every one of those parcels to figure out, what this hotel was used for. And after this, I love New Orleans so much. I love Louisiana, but I said, I don't know if I have it in me to do another book like this, because, oh my God, the amount of work was insane. But then I just got contacted the other day. Hey, do you want to write another Louisiana book? I'm like, well, we'll see. I don't know.
Let me take a breath first.
Right, exactly.
Let's see how this goes.
You have obviously written a lot about, Michigan. You have quite a few books about hauntings, or haunted Michigan, as it were. How was the experience of writing about New Orleans or Louisiana as a whole different to writing about Michigan? What made New Orleans stand out to you?
As in, the process of writing, or why did I choose, New Orleans instead of, another Michigan location?
Either or, both.
Okay. I'll try to remember all that. So I've been going to New Orleans since 2009. I have a love affair with it, to be honest. I consider it almost like a home away from home. I know so many people there. I know the culture very well. My fiance is from there. I have just, like, this is just a city that has spoke to me in a way other cities have not. And it's like my happy place, I guess you could say. And so I had a lot of relationships not work out because they didn't understand my love of New Orleans. Like, I would take them there and they would be like, this is what you love so much. So, I mean, it just was like, it's one of those things, you know, it's like, must love dogs, must love cats, must love New Orleans. You know, if you're going to be with me, you got to love New Orleans. So, I met my fiance, discovered that she was from New Orleans, and I was just like, all right, this is it, you know, like I found my person, but we really do mesh well because we share this love of the culture. And I guess the process may have been different with this book as opposed to the others. I would say by and large, most people are very helpful when you're trying to write about a place. People are very willing to talk to people for you or put you in contact with others, things like that. But, and I will say, like, for the record, that people in Michigan are amazing. Like, everybody has been so kind and supportive and helpful. But I think people in New Orleans, people in Louisiana, they have this, well, especially New Orleans, has such a supportive vibe. And I think because there are so many artists there, they really understand what it's like, you know, to get a project done and get it done well. And they want to be properly represented because I feel like so many things about New Orleans or Louisiana tend to be so negative, but it's a wonderful place. And, you know, I think some of those things that people see as negatives in some way add to its allure and charm because you got to have a little bit of bad with the good, of course. And I would say that so many of the people that were involved with this project were so beyond helpful. I mean, I had photographers that were sending me like albums of photographs that they took and said, hey, you can use, you know, whatever you want. Just please credit me. I had Misty Gaither, who is one of the investigators with Louisiana Spirits. She is one of the kindest people I've ever talked to in my life. She was willing to go out and do research for me. She was putting me in contact with other people in a way that I had never really seen with, you know, people in Michigan. I mean, she just so badly wanted to see this project succeed and to see me succeed. And for that, I will be forever thankful. But I think the people there, they just really have a lot of respect for other people and a lot of support. And I think that that's what makes, you know, their city so successful because with having all the different artists, musical, you know, painters, performers, whatever it may be, you know, those people need that support to be able to do what they love doing, and they get it.
That is one of my favorite things about New Orleans. There is such a sense of community down there, and like cultural pride. You know, there seems to be such a nice attitude toward wanting to share culture, where I feel like a lot of cities are like, you know, and not all cities obviously, but I feel like a lot of times it's like us versus them, like we're the best city ever, and New Orleans is just vibing and they're just like happy to share who they are. And I feel like you capture that really well in your research and painting the full story of everything, versus just, ooh, this is a spooky place, blah, 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 you know. Exactly. And there's not a lot of what's the word I'm trying to it just, I don't know, it goes back to that respect, right? It's very clear in your book that you do have a love and respect for the city, and that's always nice. I imagine that people would be very excited to share things with you because that's missing in a lot of spaces.
I guess it doesn't really hurt that I like live with it every day, like that kind of
Yeah.
culture. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like my in-laws and well, they're soon to be in-laws, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We just call them in-laws. We just call them in-laws. But you know, my fiance, my future in-laws, you know, part of the family, like they're just so like there's just so much like that, like welcoming and hospitable and kind and generous, and that's how I feel people in New Orleans are, and I live with that culture every day. I'm so lucky to be able to live with that. But it's very different, I think, when you have such close personal relationships with people that are from that city. It makes you understand it in a way that maybe you never did before. And so, you know, when I reached out about writing this project, the publisher didn't even want me to do it. They said, "You're not from New Orleans." I said, "Listen, like, I may not be, I may not have been born there, I may not have grown up there, but listen, I feel that I can do this project justice, and I'm very pleased with how it turned out."
Absolutely. And you have a bit of a history stretching, I don't want to say way back because none of us are that old, but in your book, you
Right.
do recount an experience of staying in one of the most haunted hotel room in the Bourbon Orleans Hotel back in 2009. I wanted to ask, without giving too much away, because obviously we want people to read the book, can you tell our listeners what that was like for you and your family?
Yes, so we stayed in room 644. And we also had explored the hotel, you know, when it was like kind of when everyone was kind of out on Bourbon Street having a good time. And I had so many experiences, and my parents had experiences as well. But I will tell you, we had a lamp in our room that would turn on and off on command. And so we didn't feel like a lot of fear with that. Like there were other situations, of course, where fear was obviously very present, but in this situation, it was just so much fun. And my dad was trying to like make fun of Zach Baggins a little bit, and so he'd say, "Am I allowed to curse?" I don't know.
Oh, 100%.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm not offending anybody. Okay, so anyway, he would say like turn on that light, ghost. If you don't, I'm gonna kick your ass, or something like that. Like he would just make these like random comments, kind of poking fun at like Zach Baggins, and it like obeyed whatever command he had, but at the end it started just kind of going crazy, like doing its own thing, and I was like, oh crap, like you just pissed off the ghost, you know what I mean?
We've officially lost control of this situation.
For sure. But you know, it was just one of those situations where it was shocking that it was kind of doing its own thing whenever we requested to do something. And I felt in shock, and I not that I didn't think I was going to have an experience, because I had specifically requested the most haunted room and talked extensively about, you know, the history of the hotel. But I also just, I guess I couldn't believe that it was so intelligent. It was one of the most intelligent hauntings I've ever like dealt with, I guess. So it was very cool and very exciting at the time. And I didn't feel, like I said, fear in these moments. I felt elation.
Was that the first time that you had been to New Orleans, or had you been there
Yes.
previously?
So,
Okay.
fun fact:
Okay.
didn't want to go the first time. So my dad had helped out with Hurricane Katrina, and I had my heart dead set on going to Branson, Missouri, where the Titanic Museum is. And so I was like, you know, I want to go to Missouri so bad. And my dad was like, well, I want to go to New Orleans because I helped out with Hurricane Katrina. And I was just maybe a little afraid. You know, he had told me all these terrible stories, and he would cry a lot from it. And so I think, like, in my heart, I was like, oh, I don't want to go somewhere that's going to be, like, sad. You know, I was a teenager then. But he ended up, we ended up going, and I fell in love so much so that we ended up adding another night to our hotel. And I really loved finding out that there was so much there were so many reported hauntings in New Orleans, because I didn't even know that aspect of it. All I knew was just about Hurricane Katrina. So I was so pumped to learn that there was, like, all these reported places, and then almost all the hotels are haunted too. So I was like, yes, like, I'm just gonna, like, be having all these experiences on my stay, and I sure enough did.
I believe, if our notes are correct, that would have been the same year that Tri-City Ghost Hunter Society was founded. Is that correct? Or was that after?
Yeah.
Okay. Was that inspired by, or?
Yes. So it was, like, immediately after. I had come back from there. I started the team then.
Cool. Tell us more about that. What are some of your favorite experiences with them? Who is in the group? What do you all do? Just tell us all about it so that we can daydream about being part of it.
So I started the Tri-City Ghost Hunter Society back in 2009. And I had started it with my ex at the time. Throughout the years, there has been former friends, current friends, just random people that had an interest in the paranormal that wanted to join a team. We, at one point, I think, had like 12 or 15 members, so it was quite large, like, early on. But through time, we've dwindled down to a group of 4 ladies who love the paranormal. So it now is, the members now include me, my fiance Alicia, my best friend Bobby, and then my mom Ellen. And together we do public ghost hunts. We do public ghost hunts specifically now at the historic Masonic Temple in downtown Bay City, which is nearby where we live. And in addition to that, we love traveling and discovering different haunted places. So we travel all over the world and try to document claims of paranormal activity and report about it, write about it, you know. I guess the cool thing is like we can use it however we want. So there's not like a lot of pressure to, like, I guess, investigate so many times per month. It's more like when we're feeling it, when we're wanting to do it, if we're free and we don't have a lot of obligations, then of course we can, you know, investigate more. So it's really cool having it just be like close-knit family and friends, because it just works out very well for all of our schedules, I think.
Yeah. Where's the farthest that you've traveled for the Ghost Hunters Society?
I would probably say Poland.
Oh, wow.
That was the longest flight that I've ever taken. For sure. And also the most haunted experiences, that, like, the scariest, most haunted experiences I've ever had were in the hotel, actually, in Poland. So,
where was it? Where did you stay?
We stayed at the AC Marriott in Krakow.
Okay. I'm making a mental note for Gina's and my travel list.
Me too.
I wish I could remember what room, but I probably could contact them and find out. But oh my God.
What kind of experiences did you have there?
Oh my God, where do I begin? Okay. Well,
no pressure.
I should say that I believe in some part a lot of this activity was actually due to items that I had purchased at the flea market. So we had picked up an like old electrical sign that was like salvaged from this flea market. We got a prop from the movie Schindler's List, and it had the Star of David on the bottom. I always watched Schindler's List, like, with my grandparents ever since I was a young kid, and when they had the props, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I got one, Of course, they had the one with the bolt, SS lightning bolts on it. I was like, I don't want that in my house, so, not getting that one. And then Alicia and I were both drawn to one key, this one, like, old brass kind of skeleton key. So, ended up getting that, brought it back to our hotel room, and the weirdest of things started happening. So, we were laying in bed one night, and the shower turned on, and you could hear somebody actually in there using it. You could hear, like, stuff clanking, and like, oh my God. It was so scary when it first happened, and then it happened 2 more times. Well, the last time it happened was actually when Alicia had gone home early so she could work for Black Friday. And so I was in the hotel room by myself, and I was afraid. Like, we had so much stuff happen, which I'll tell you a little bit more about that, but we just had so much stuff happen that I turned all the lights on, and I'm sitting on the bed, and I'm thinking, like, please, please, please don't let that shower turn on. And as I'm sitting there thinking about it, it turns on, and I said, you're going to put your big girl pants on, and you're going to walk in there, and you're going to see what is causing that shower to, what is happening in there. Why is the shower on? So I walked in there, and it was just like I could not shut it off no matter what I did. It would not shut off. It shut off when it wanted to shut off. So after it shut off, I don't know how long it had been, 10, 15 minutes maybe. I said, okay, I got to get some sleep. It's like 2:30 in the morning. I'm going to be dead to the world if I don't get some sleep. I'd be laying in bed at night, and I would feel like I was being tickled and realized it was coming from the mattress. We had situations where we left, went out for the day, came back, and like different patio doors were open. Ugh. Because there was like, I don't know, 4 patio doors or something that you could actually open. Or like Alicia would have opened one, and in the morning, like another one would be opened, and the other one that she opened would be closed. There was a time that, like, each and every time on that last day when I would come in and out of the bathroom, like different lights would be on in the room, different lights would be off. The same day when she had left and I had gone back to sleep, I had woken up 45 minutes later. And instead of like half the lights being on, half the lights being off, like I had initially set them, all of the lights were on, the curtains were open, all of the patio doors were open. So it was like horrific stuff. Like I felt like it was targeting me, especially when I was by myself. It just got to be really scary. And I know, like, my fiance says I always talk about it very passionately, but I think the thing is that yes, I think I talk about it passionately, but I can never convey just how scary it was to actually be there in that moment. Well, after all was said and done, we came home, began having this series of night terrors stemming from the office closet, and then going into my bedroom, or our bedroom. And I just like felt, or I would see like a man sitting on the side of the bed, and he was like covered in a sheet, and then he turned and like laid over top of me. And then I had asked Alicia, I said, hey, where was that stuff from Poland? Oh, I just had it stored in my, closet, and her closet was off the office. So it was just like all of this stuff started happening, and it was insane.
That is terrifying. Oh my gosh.
It really
was.
It. Well, then to make matters worse, like my friends decided, hey, we're going to look into what the hotel used to be. Mm-hmm. And then discovered that it was like the hotel wasn't actually there, but the ground was actually used for Nazi housing in the past.
I was wondering if it was going to be something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. Yikes.
So, of course, I had, brought in the Star of David, and all those activities started. So it was horrifying. There was just so many things that happened, and I literally considered like never doing paranormal investigating again or anything like that. And I mean, I have ghosts tattooed all over my body. Like, I love the paranormal so much, but it was just really, really horrifying.
Oh my gosh, I don't know. Maybe we won't go there Maybe it's off my list now. I don't know. Do you still have that key that you were drawn to?
Yes, I do. It is actually now in the haunted exhibit. All of the items from Poland now are in the exhibit, and people can see them when I travel around with my museum. So
Perfect. Good.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
I want to see it. I'm a little bit scared. I feel like I'll bring some sage with me, but I do want to see it.
Do you feel like the activity has anything to do with the key specifically, or was it like a combination of just all the stuff?
I think primarily it had to do with the stamp from the prop.
Okay, yeah.
Primarily in Poland, but I do think that there was maybe some type of energy, residual energy on some of this other stuff because we were so drawn to it. And I don't even know how to explain it, but you know, it's like as we were adding more and more and more things into, I guess, our collection that we were building of things from Poland, the activity increased. And by the time we had kind of everything, it increased tenfold. So, yeah, it was a lot for sure. It was so much activity, and I do think that all of the things kind of have a little bit of responsibility in that, but I would say primarily that stamp with the Star of David, I think really set off a lot of activity.
Yeah. Well, okay, flipping this one on its head, because this was obviously a very negative experience. Do any paranormal experiences that you've had stand out as really positive?
So, I have had a positive paranormal experience. It wasn't with my team. It was actually by myself. But at the time, it scared the crap out of me because I was younger. And my grandfather had passed away, and I was crying, like sobbing in my room. And I like pulled the covers over my head and was just like, I don't know, just wrecked about his death. And my lamp turned on. Like I could hear the click and you could see like the whole room light up through the blankets. So at the time it was like, I was horrified, but looking back, I think that was kind of like him sending me a message to say, hey, I'm okay. I'm still with you, even though you can't see me. So I think it was really kind of a sweet gesture. But yeah, at the time, I was like, you know, I can't sleep in this room right now.
Yeah, but that is a really sweet gesture.
For sure. Yes, and a lot of people say to me, oh, you collect all this, you know, this stuff, but you get afraid. Yes. You know, the thing is like, I'm a human being, you know. I mean, it's a normal human emotion to feel fear in certain situations, especially in moments of self-preservation. My dad, he was in the Marine Corps. He was a former police officer, and he always would say, what, you're going to cry about that? Yes, I am. And you know what? I'm never going to change the fact that I have a sensitive heart and a sensitive soul, and I don't think anybody else should change either. I mean, this whole idea of not running out of locations when you get scared or you feel threatened, like, that's crazy. Like, if you feel threatened, you run out of there. It's okay. Life's going to go on. You can go back in when you feel ready to. I just kind of want to put that out there because I think especially in the paranormal, you know, like there's always this kind of, I don't know, we always have to like have this tough exterior. And like, if you ever look at any of the photos from like the earlier 2000s of ghost hunting teams, I mean, and I'm guilty of this too, you know, you wear all black and you cross your arms and you look so serious and mad or like, it's just ridiculous. Like, you can smile. Like, life is going to be okay.
My
Well,
gosh,
you know what?
I love this discussion.
Me too.
Right.
My response to this is I'm going to say twofold. One, I'm a big fan of fear. Fear keeps people alive. Like, we should all be afraid of certain things. And if you're
For sure.
afraid of paranormal, take a step back. Take a breath. Maybe there's a reason you're afraid. Who knows? We don't know. There's so much you don't know about the paranormal, right? So, like, if you're too afraid to mess with something, like, listen to that.
Yes.
Also love the call out to the, all black, gotta be tough, blah, blah, blah. I went on my first official paranormal investigation earlier this year, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to wear. I don't have any of the cool, like, paranormal, like, ghost black zip-ups and, like, the dark washi. I showed up in, like, my rainbow, like, fuzzy sweater because I was like, I don't have any cool ghost hunting clothes. But, I mean, it's a great group, so it was fine. But, yeah,
yeah. Wear that rainbow, girl. Don't worry about what the haters
and,
say.
like, if you're with people who are going to judge you, then, like, that's not the people you want to be with. Like, go.
Right.
There's plenty of people who want to go on investigations and do all this stuff. And, like, go with the ones who won't judge you. It's fine.
There's more serious things to be focusing on, honestly, than, like, what somebody's wearing or the color of their clothes. It doesn't make you a bad investigator to wear color. And I personally love neon pink, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, I got a shiny shirt on today. Like, I just love, like, vibrancy and stuff that makes, that kind of livens it up a little bit, because we are so used to seeing, like, just all black, like, void of emotion or personality, you know what I mean? And I hate that, because there's so many lively characters in our field, people that have amazing personalities. For example, Adam Berry, he has such a bright personality, and he's so funny. And I feel like he's stifled sometimes on some of the shows that he's been on. But he's got just the most amazing personality. And I would love to see more of that from some of these people that we look up to and follow, because I want to see the person behind I guess the ghost hunting.
Yeah, there can be so much joy in the paranormal, and particularly paranormal based communities. I think, like, even the people that we've met since starting this podcast have been just the loveliest people, and not what an outsider might stereotype as people being into the paranormal.
For sure.
Well, and that's part of why, we were nervous for, we're not traditionally an interview-based podcast. We we are very selective with the people we have on. Congratulations for making the cut. Just kidding.
Thank you.
But the reason I bring it up is, it's not from a, snooty or gatekeepy perspective. It's because we don't want to have people who are going to kind of misrepresent the community on. And it has been really nice, because I feel like before we had this podcast, Gina and I searched high and low for spooky pals when Gina's over in the UK now, but when she was here, I'm in Milwaukee, like, I've been searching high and low, and it's hard, because I feel like a lot of the people who, are just normal good people are almost I don't want to say afraid, but they're harder to find, because the ones who do feel like they have to put up this facade and play this role are a lot louder and a lot easier to find. So, man, once we knew where to look, I'm like, man, there's so many people that we want to be friends with, and have such great information, and everyone's so welcoming. It would be so nice to like, if that was more accessible, because it's hard to find if you don't know where to look, and that's a difficult community to, like, crack into. Again, not because of any gatekeeping or anything, it's just a little bit more on the low.
Definitely. And I just I have to say, sorry to interrupt for this little comment I'm gonna make, but oh my God, I love Milwaukee so much.
Oh my God.
Mansion. I love the public market. I am in love with your city. And I have to say, Gina, I am stupid jealous. I love the UK. I cried when I left England for the first time and said, why wasn't I born there? Like, the culture is amazing. Like, I want to get married in the UK, and that's kind of what we're planning. So if I when I get married, you guys will be invited. So
Yay! Thank you.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Go ahead.
I was also just going to start fangirling about the UK, which I will go on for hours. So you go.
my heart. I love, oh God, the UK. I love the UK, and that includes all of the countries within the UK.
Thank you for specifying, because so many people don't realize.
That you just said that. Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty bad when people are like, "Oh, so you like England?" I'm like, "Guys, come
That's
on."
not what I said.
I love that.
Come on. Yeah, no, I love the UK so much. And Milwaukee, like I keep telling Alicia, I keep saying, because it's not that far from us. It's a little far, but I always tell her, hey, we got to go to Milwaukee. You would love it there. And the people are so amazing. They're so kind.
Come to Milwaukee. We'll do a ghost day. There's so many hidden gems in Milwaukee. Because I was going to say, when we first were talking about putting this together, Gina and I did have a hard time figuring out where you were from, because originally we did think you were from New Orleans, and I was like, she's got a lot of Michigan stuff too. She's from one or the other. But both Gina and I have Michigan ties. We both have family in the Detroit area, so I'm over there all the time. So we'll just do tradesies. Like, you go show me around Michigan, I'll show you around Milwaukee. I will say, I love Milwaukee. It's a great city, but I am only here because I fell in love and got married with a Milwaukee man.
You sound so happy about that, Catherine.
Well, blah, blah, blah. But I do, I'm coming up from Chicago, so I got a lot of grief from where I'm originally from when I first moved up here. I love Milwaukee, and I think, like I said, you named a lot of good spots. I feel like people, when they come to Milwaukee a lot, people miss, like, Pabst Mansion. That's not one that people usually name right off the bat. That's such a beautiful spot. Really great around the holidays. Have you ever been there when it's all decked out in the holidays?
I used to live, like, right next door to that place. Did you know that?
I don't know. I don't know if I have.
Yeah. It's like, you should, next time you're in town, if you're ever in town around the holidays, you should check it out, because it's very, like, old world Christmas vibes. It's very cool. Yeah, there's a lot of cool hidden gems here in the city.
Oh my God, and the festivals you guys have. It's like,
man, the festivals,
and you have a book of festivals.
We have what?
You have a whole book. You have a whole book.
Oh, yep.
Like a little magazine dedicated to every festival. It's like, you never run out of stuff to do.
Street fairs. Yeah, there's a lot of, like, free things to do around here, too. Like, there will be, like, a random Thursday, and it's like, oh, sorry, this 5-block stretch is closed to, like, a maker's market. It's like, what? Okay, sweet.
I like that so much.
Yeah, Milwaukee's cool.
Well, I was just going to ask Gina what part of the UK that you're in, because I kind of had an idea for next year, but it depends maybe where you're.
I'm in England. I'm on the south coast.
Okay. So next year, I mean, you may have heard of this. I don't know, Catherine, if you've heard of this, but there is, like, what they call, I know it's not really, UK's not really part of Europe anymore, but they call it Europe's biggest Halloween festival. It's in Derry.
Oh, okay, nice.
Oh my God, I did not know about this.
Yes, and we're planning to go next year, and I thought that would be so cool if you guys, like, came and met up with us. And
wait, should we all go?
Yes. Emphatic yes.
Oh my God, like, genuinely, I will mark my calendar.
Same.
Yeah.
That sounds so fun.
But yeah, because, like, it would just be so much fun. And there's a hotel I stayed at last time, but we're gonna stay at. It's called the Ship Key, so it's SHIPQUAY, and it's like walking distance to pretty much, like, all of the festivities, and they do, like, ghost tours, and they have people that are, you know, costumed, and food trucks and live music. So yeah, it sounds really fun. Like, just speaking and talking about, like, all of the different events that, you know, are happening in Milwaukee kind of made me think of that, because I'm like, yeah, the UK's got a lot of events too. It'd be cool if we could all, like, do something like that.
That would be so much fun. I'm so down for this.
In my head, it's planned. Like, we're already doing this. Unfortunately, Nicole, you have planted the seed, and once a seed gets planted here, she grows. She won't stop growing until it's harvest time.
I can understand
this is
that.
fantastic. Excellent.
Yeah.
So, we have a few more questions for you. We do have to wrap it up now because I have to go and, like, daydream about this trip and, like, start a Pinterest board and, like, get planning. In the spirit of this time of year, what is your favorite fall comfort show or movie?
Okay. So, my favorite fall comfort show is probably American Horror Story.
Okay.
Nice.
And my favorite movie for fall is probably Hocus Pocus. It's a total classic.
Yes.
And
Forever classic. Yeah.
if you don't watch that during the Halloween season,
Yeah.
your heart is cold and dead, and you need to go get it revived.
Well, my heart
Yeah,
is cold and dead
that's-
anyway, but I love
My heart
Hocus
is cold and
Pocus.
dead, and I love Hocus Pocus. Yeah, that's one. It's hard to dislike that. Like, there's really not anything to dislike. If you're the type of person that has a fall comfort movie, like, you gotta enjoy Hocus Pocus.
I love it so much. I like want to
I was gonna
rewatch
say,
it tonight
Judah's,
now.
like,
I'm
glowing
having a
over there.
moment.
So before we wrap up, was there anything that you were just dying to talk about that we didn't get to? Any last little anecdotes or things you want people to know before we hop off?
Yes. So I have a public ghost hunt at the Masonic Temple, and that's right in downtown Bay City. And it's Friday, November 14th, and there's 2 different time slots. So there's 6 to 10:30 p.m., and then there's 11 to 3:30 a.m. And both of those will start with a little brief ghost tour of the haunted hotspots of the building. You'll get to see some of the behind-the-scenes things that, like little features on the building that the Masonic family had used. And then we kind of go lights out, and each person that attends will have 1 hour per floor of investigation time. And it's great. Like, you don't even need to bring any equipment. If you do, wonderful. You're more than welcome to use it, but we will all be stationed on different floors, and we'll be able to assist with, showing people equipment, showing people how to utilize equipment, and we always bring like a variety of different items, so
Awesome.
you don't have to spend a lot of money to come.
That's awesome. I love that people don't have to bring things if they don't have them.
Yeah, the only thing is that I will say is that tickets are available now from the Historic Masonic Temple in Bay City, so it's hmtbc.org. And if you go to the website, click on events, and you can find the link for the ghost hunt. You want to get those tickets because they tend to sell out, and they also tend to, it's an event that you have to pre-register for your tickets, so you definitely want to do that. Please don't just show up at the door. As much as I love people and love the support, unfortunately, you can't really do that. But the good news is that when you purchase those tickets, all of the funds go back into the restoration of the historic Masonic Temple. So you're helping to preserve a piece of our history here. And not only that, but make the building more accessible for other populations. And that's what it's all about, is helping out the community and having a good time and getting to meet people, because that's really, what is a paranormal community without community,
Ah, that was
sure.
such a
Love
great
that. Oh my
closing
God.
line.
Perfect.
Well, on the topic
Yes.
of meeting people, we are so happy that we got to meet you today. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We have had a great time. Thank you so much. This has been brilliant. Everyone go buy her book immediately, and we will see you all on Tuesday. Until next time, little spoons.